The last triad we have left to discuss is the leading-tone triad, and that is in fact what we're going to talk about in chapter 15. The leading-tone triad shares two common tones with the dominant chord. For example, from the key of C major, our favorite key, the dominant triad is G, B, D. And the leading-tone triad is E, D, F. And as you can see quite clearly, there are two common tones. And because of this, the leading-tone triad is actually used as a substitute for the dominant chord. For example, instead of having a 5-1 cadence, you might instead have a leading-tone triad going to 1 at a cadence. Okay? Now, when you're using the leading-tone triad in part writing, there are a couple of important rules you want to adhere to. The first is never double the leading tone. Okay. This is pretty self-explanatory because if you remember back when we did our scale work, where does that leading tone want to resolve? It wants to resolve up to the tonic. So if you've got two leading tones, they both want to resolve up, which of course is going to result in parallel octaves. And do we want parallel octaves? No. No parallel octaves, parallel fifths, or parallel unisons. The second one is that you want to use the leading-tone triad in first inversion. And again, this has to do with the unwanted parallel motion as well. If it's used in first inversion, it's much easier to get the parallel thirds, which are very desirable. Okay. So, never double leading tone, and always use the leading-tone triad in first inversion. Now, as you can imagine, in an effort to adhere to both of these rules, we're sometimes going to find some complications in part writing. So, in the next lesson, we'll take a look at how to deal with the leading-tone triad when we're actually writing it.